Chicago Bears are drilling into the ground in Indiana. Not a rumor, not a leak. Heavy geotechnical drilling equipment at Wolf Lake Terminals in Hammond, photographed this Saturday and confirmed by team spokesman Scott Hagel the same day. And what the franchise said right after that is something every Bears fan needs to hear all the way through, because it completely changes how you read where this organization is headed. But there is something just as urgent happening at Hallis Hall right now. Gervin Dexter, your second best pass rusher, is playing out the final year of his deal with zero extension offer from Ryan Poles, and Bleacher Report is already calling him gone in free agency for over $25 million a year. I'm going to tell you exactly why that cannot happen, and the only reason Poles could possibly have for waiting this long. And to close it out, Rome ODUNZE. There is an analyst at Sports Illustrated projecting a 1,300-yard, double-digit touchdown season for him in 2026. In a minute, I will tell you why I get the argument, and why the one number from his 2025 season makes me think that projection is off, but not in the direction you think. All of that right now. Bear down. To understand why this matters, you need the Wolf Lake Terminals in actual context, not the vague headlines that just say, new site in Indiana. Wolf Lake Terminals is an active industrial and logistics property west of the Indiana Toll Road, Interstate 90 in Hammond. It's got storage facilities, warehouses, private business operations running right now. And Da Bears sent heavy drilling rigs out there this weekend. Not an architect, not a consultant with an iPad. Geotechnical drilling equipment that tests load-bearing capacity, groundwater levels, and bedrock strength. That's the first real operational step in evaluating whether ground can physically hold a stadium complex. Now here's what's also true that isn't getting enough attention. The team already has, in their own words, an excellent option already in place. That almost certainly refers to the Lost Marsh golf course site, which has been the centerpiece of the original Hammond proposal. The Wolf Lake Terminals testing is an expansion of the search within the same region, not a sign that they're starting over. They're trying to find the single best plot of land within the Wolf Lake area before they commit. Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott is staying tight-lipped on specifics, but told reporters he's confident the Bears are coming to Indiana. Indiana Governor Mike Braun has been on record for weeks with the same certainty. He said this week, when the Bears board voted unanimously to focus on Hammond, that came after 6 years of having a deaf ear from Illinois' governor, legislature, and city of Chicago. That's not a governor being politely optimistic. That's a governor who knows the handshake already happened and is building the public narrative for when the announcement drops. So how did we get here? The Bears bought Arlington Park in 2021. 5 years of trying to build in Illinois. The spring legislative session in Illinois ended on June 1st, 2026, with zero stadium legislation passed. And the Bears board voted unanimously the next day to advance plans in Hammond. Not by a close margin, unanimously. That tells me the real conversation was done long before the legislative session failed. There are a couple of Illinois legislators running around with last-minute alternative proposals right now, including a state rep suggesting the South Works area on Chicago's south side. With all respect in the world to that idea, fam, that train has left the station. The Bears have months of due diligence in Indiana. They have drilling equipment in the ground right now. No editorial in the Sun-Times is pulling them back. Now let me address the soil concern directly, because some people have been pointing to the industrial nature of the Wolf Lake area as a reason to pump the brakes. And that's actually exactly why the geotechnical testing matters. It answers the question formally. Load-bearing capacity, groundwater interference, bedrock depth, potential environmental contamination from prior industrial use. If those results come back clean, you have a technical green light for detailed planning. And the fact that the Bears are drilling right next to a site they've already described as an excellent option tells me they're not expecting bad news. They're confirming good news. Look, I could be wrong, but my read is that the official Hammond announcement comes before training camp. McDermott said earlier this month he thought an announcement could happen very soon. Braun has been in contact with the team twice a week for 6 months. You don't maintain that rhythm of communication on a deal that isn't close. What weighs on me as a Bears fan isn't the zip code. Hammond is 30 minutes from the loop. Lake Michigan is still Lake Michigan. Navy and orange doesn't change. 104 years of Bears history doesn't get erased by crossing a state line. But Chicago deserved to have Da Bears in Chicago. And if the politicians of this city couldn't deliver that in 5 years, that failure is going to echo for decades. Indiana had the legislation. Indiana had the commitment. Indiana has drilling equipment in the ground right now. Illinois has talking points. You tell me who wins that fight. All right, let me shift gears because this next one genuinely frustrates me from a roster-building standpoint, and it's not getting the urgency it deserves. Mo Moten at Bleacher Report wrote this week that he expects the Bears to lose Gervin Dexter to free agency in the spring of 2027 at a contract north of $25 million a year. And the reason that's a realistic outcome is simple. The Bears have not had extension conversations with him, and Dexter's about to play out the final year of a rookie deal worth $6.7 million. Let me hit you with the numbers first, because the numbers justify the concern. In 2025, Dexter finished with 7 quarterback sacks according to Pro Football Focus, second only to Montez Sweat's 10 on this team. He had 38 total pressures, 25 hurries, and a PFF pass rush grade of 72.7, which put him in the top 20 of all 134 qualifying interior defensive linemen in the league. That's a real number, not elite, but solidly above average, and in free agency, solidly above average at interior pass rush is worth $23 to $25 million a year on the current market. The complication with Dexter is that he's a two-sided coin you can't ignore. The pass rush side is real and improving every single year. The run defense side is a problem. His run defense grade of 44.0 ranked 107th out of 134. In practical terms, the Bears gave up 5 yards per carry against opposing run games in 2025. And Dexter is part of that problem. So you have an interior lineman who can pressure the quarterback consistently enough to be worth big money on the open market. But who in the running game is a liability in the scheme? That's exactly the profile that a team in contention mode, one trying to get to the Super Bowl with Caleb Williams in the next 3 years, can't pay full price for unless the other half of his game is fixed. Why hasn't Poles started extension talks? I see 3 possible reasons, and I think reality is some combination of all 3. First, the Bears spent nearly $43 million over 3 years on Grady Jarrett before the 2025 season. Jarrett is 33 years old, carries a cap hit of $13.5 million in 2027, and finished 2025 with 1.5 sacks. Not the Jarrett of Atlanta. If the Bears release him before 2027, that cap space goes a long way toward bringing Dexter back. But the timing of that pivot matters, and Poles might be waiting to see what Jarrett's 2026 season looks like before committing to the move. Second, Jordan Vandenberg. The Bears used a 6th-round pick on the Georgia Tech DT in the 2026 draft. Athletic traits, affordable rookie contract, long-term rotation potential. But he's been struggling this offseason. Eventually is not a reliable enough foundation to let your second-best pass rusher walk out the door. Third, and this is the one that bothers me most, Poles might be waiting for Dexter's 2026 season before committing to the extension number. If Dexter puts up 10-plus sacks and improves against the run, the answer is obvious. But if you wait until January 2027 when free agency opens in March, you're reacting to a market instead of setting the price. And teams don't win bidding wars on players. They should have locked up in the offseason. My position is straightforward. Poles needs to start the conversation now, not close it. Start it. Dexter knows what he's worth. His agent knows what the market looks like. The top 6 interior linemen in the NFL are all making at least $25.5 million a year. If Dexter goes out and gets 12 sacks in 2026 and shows even average improvement against the run, that number isn't going to go down. It's going to go up. The Bears' defense was 29th in yards allowed in 2025. Da Bears cannot build a legitimate contender by letting their second-best pass rusher walk out the door because they were slow on the paperwork. That's not cap management. That's an organizational mistake you don't get back. Ryan Poles is one of the best GMs in this league. I believe that. But on this one, the clock is already running, and I need to see movement before training camp. All right, let's close on something that actually has me fired up about what this offense can be in 2026. Thomas Carelli from SI.com published a piece this week putting ODUNZE on his list of third-year wide receivers set to have career years, and he didn't hold back on the projection. He's calling for more than 70 receptions, more than 1,300 yards, and double-digit touchdowns. That would put ODUNZE in the top 5 to top 10 among all wide receivers in the NFC. I want to break down why that projection is defensible, and then tell you the one thing that could stop it cold. The case for ODUNZE, and it's stronger than people think. The raw line from 2025 was 44 catches, 661 yards, 6 touchdowns in 12 games. On the surface, not explosive. But those numbers came with a stress fracture in his foot that he played through starting before Week 14, when he finally missed his last 5 regular season games. He was playing hurt for a significant portion of that season, and when you play hurt as a wide receiver, the first thing that goes is your ability to create separation off the line. Every route tree that requires a sharp cut, a fake at the stem, a push off the break, becomes less explosive when your foot isn't right. Here's what ODUNZE did when he was healthy in the first 4 weeks of 2025. 20 receptions, 296 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's the 3rd highest producing wide receiver in the entire league through those 4 weeks. Not in a system that handed him easy completions. Caleb Williams was finding him on contested catches downfield. His average depth of target was 7th highest among all wide receivers with at least 40 targets in the league last season, according to PFF. He's not living in the slot. He's attacking the deep thirds of the field consistently. And his catch rate of around 49% isn't a hands problem. He only had 4 drops. It's a function of Williams' inconsistent accuracy on deep balls and the defensive adjustments that came once teams game planned specifically for his route tendencies. The DJ Moore departure is a factor people are undervaluing. Moore had 85 targets in 2025. Those targets now go somewhere. And with Luther Burden, Odunze, and Colston Loveland all at the top of this depth chart, the target distribution is going to be tighter. But Odunze is going into this as the number one option in a Ben Johnson offense that specifically identified him as a priority going forward. That's not nothing. Ben Johnson doesn't say things like that publicly unless the plan already reflects it. Now, the thing that could hold him back, I'd be doing everyone a disservice if I didn't address the pattern from 2025, honestly. 5 touchdowns in 4 games, 1 touchdown in the next 8, defenses adjusted. They took away his deep roots once they identified his tendency. And Odunze didn't have a strong enough counter adjustment in the back half of the season to sustain productivity. Ben Johnson needs to design a more unpredictable Odunze package in 2026, one where he's not only the vertical threat clearing the field for other players, but also a weapon on shorter breaking routes, where his catch-and-run ability can punish defenders who are playing off coverage to take away the deep ball. Odunze absolutely has that in his toolkit. His yards after the catch numbers were solid, even when his overall counting stats weren't. The question is whether Johnson uses the whole toolkit consistently or goes back to the patterns that defenses learned to take away in 2025. My call. I think Odunze lands in the 900 to 1100 yard range with 8 to 10 touchdowns. That's already the best season of his professional career. It's enough to make him a genuine number one option. The 1,300 yard projection from Corelli is the ceiling, not the floor. And if Williams takes the accuracy leap everyone expects, that ceiling becomes reachable. But I need to see 16 games from a healthy Odunze before I go all the way in on the Corelli number. What actually excites me about this offense going into 2026 isn't any one number. It's that you've got Odunze, Burden, and Loveland all capable of going off on any given Sunday. Any NFC defense that prepares specifically for one of those 3 is opening the door for the other 2. That structural multiplicity is what the Bears didn't fully have last season. And that difference is what makes this offense capable of going somewhere Da Bears haven't been in a very long time. That's everything I've got for today, fam. The ground is being drilled in Hammond. Gervin Dexter has a clock ticking on him. And Rome Odunze, with a healthy foot and a full offseason, is about to remind the entire NFC why he went 9th overall in the 2024 draft. This franchise is in one of the most interesting and complicated moments of its history at the same time. The football future has me genuinely excited. The stadium situation has me frustrated. But the Bears are the Bears, and that doesn't change with a zip code. Bear down. If this video gave you something to think about, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop your take in the comments right now. Do you think the Hammond deal is already done, or does Illinois still have a real shot to pull the Bears back? I want to read every single response. See you in the next one.